我从未见过如此
严女士
厚颜无耻之徒。
严女士，
我都气笑了。
The unreasonable mother-in-law went back on her word. Before the marriage, in order to deceive her younger son's girlfriend to agree to the marriage, she personally promised to buy a new wedding house for the young couple. As long as the girl was willing to marry her younger son, everything would be fine. Unexpectedly, after the marriage, the mother-in-law immediately turned her face and denied the account, and turned around to give the new house to her elder son. After the younger daughter-in-law found out, she directly blocked the door to demand an explanation, but the mother-in-law calmly said that since the daughter-in-law had already married in and given birth to a child, what else did she need a house for? Upon hearing this, the younger daughter-in-law completely exploded, tore off all pretense on the spot, and one move directly made the unreasonable mother-in-law completely admit defeat.
这房子本来就是我的，我当然说了算了。怎么了？轮着你说话了吗？我在下面听的，我已经气得都不行了。当时小儿子结婚，我就想着把那房子先许给他们，让他们顺利能结婚，这不就行了吗？他们都要买了房子了，那这房子那不就用不上了吗？那我给大儿子不行吗？
但是这个房子是您说要给我们的呀。
你们现在已经有房子了，咋啦？咋就不行啦？
可以，但是您对
你那么大意见，
严女士，那您对之前5年前那个承诺你怎么看？
他们已经结过婚了，我想着也就无所谓了，那就是这。
您是这么觉得呀？
我就这样认为。
哎呦，严女士，她是远嫁的女儿，那个承诺可是有很大的意义的呀。当初咱的承诺这2套房子，其实是给他们娘家是一个定心丸啊。您不能说结了婚然后就不认账啊。
那我不管，那现在他们已经结过婚了，已经好几年了，那我给我的大儿子让他们住，那不行吗？
那您事先有没有知会我一声呢？您要是跟我说，哎，这个房子先给大儿子吧，那你告诉我一声，我不就……
这房子本来就是我的，我当然说了算了。怎么了？轮着你说话了吗？
The fair-skinned and beautiful woman in front is Xiao Fang, opposite her is her husband, and her unreasonable mother-in-law. When talking about what her mother-in-law did, Xiao Fang was instantly burning with anger. Xiao Fang said that she and her husband met and fell in love in college. Later, in order to break the routine of breaking up after graduation, at that time her boyfriend Xiao Dong proposed marriage to her. Because her boyfriend's family was in Hunan, while her own family was in Shandong, far apart, her parents were worried that she would be wronged if she married far away, so at first they did not agree to their marriage. Later, after the two of them insisted again and again, plus the mother-in-law personally visited to show her sincerity, her parents finally reluctantly agreed. In order to reassure her parents, the mother-in-law also promised on the spot that as long as her family agreed to this marriage, she would directly buy a new wedding house for the young couple. In addition, there was also a newly built self-built house in the hometown that would be given to the young couple. Her parents saw that the other party showed full sincerity, so they completely eliminated their concerns and approved of this marriage. Who would have thought that after marriage the mother-in-law made a 180-degree change? Although a new house was bought, the mother-in-law turned around and gave it to her elder son. She herself lived in the self-built house in the hometown, and often suffered her mother-in-law's difficulties. Xiao Fang was very dissatisfied, saying that she gave birth to a daughter for her husband's family, not only not receiving attention from the husband's family, but also experiencing a completely different treatment before and after marriage, and the house that belonged to her was given to her husband's elder brother. Now turning her face and denying the account, was clearly deceiving herself and her parents. Wasn't this exactly tricking the daughter-in-law into the house first, and then after the rice was cooked becoming a meal, shamelessly playing rogue? The more Xiao Fang spoke, the angrier she became, saying that the mother-in-law was obviously bullying her as a far-married daughter-in-law, with no one to support her. Then Xiao Fang said that today this matter must be made clear, otherwise she would never give up. After the husband Xiao Dong heard his wife's complaints, the next move immediately shocked everyone on the scene.
你为什么总是指责我妈呀？咱们现在有房子住，还惦记这个房子干嘛呀？你这么物质吗？
我没有去指责他，你看他什么事都向着他妈妈，明明说好的，做不到就不要去承诺呀。如果是现在没有兑现给我就算了，但是他妈妈要把房子给他哥哥。
给哥哥了，那我妈这么做她有她的道理啊。
天天你妈说我这不好，你说对，她就是这样不好，她就是这不好那不好，我难道没有一点好的地方吗？
那我不是为了安抚我妈情绪吗？
哦，那你安抚对了吗？对了吗？什么都你妈都对吧？你跟你妈过去，你个妈宝男，那就是重男轻女。 在怀孕之前，我觉得我跟婆婆关系还挺好的，但后来直到我生了孩子之后，她就说我怀的是个女儿，然后就各种对我开始不满。
你婆婆重男轻女啊？这是在
你是不是总是翻旧账啊？总爱翻旧账啊？
After hearing his wife criticize his own mother, the husband immediately felt dissatisfied, so he spoke out saying that the mother-in-law was the elder in the family, and the decisions she made must have her own arrangements. Then he accused his wife that as a daughter-in-law, she should learn to be filial and considerate to the elders, instead of making trouble here. These words immediately angered the wife Xiao Fang. Then Xiao Fang became emotional and said that it was one thing that the mother-in-law shamelessly gave her house to the elder brother, but what she could not tolerate the most was the mother-in-law and husband's attitude of valuing sons over daughters. Before marriage, she was treated like a princess, but ever since she gave birth to a daughter, the mother-in-law and husband's attitude took a 180-degree turn, starting to nitpick her in every way. Having married far away, with her natal family far away and no one to support her, she had no choice but to endure with clenched teeth. Unexpectedly, the mother-in-law got even worse, increasingly feeling that this younger daughter-in-law was easy to bully. Then Xiao Fang revealed on the spot some shameful things the mother-in-law had done to her and her daughter.
就是重男轻女，他妈一直催着我们生二胎。
我妈的意思也想让咱家有一个后代吧，是吧？
现在都什么时代了？
你们几个孩子到现在？
我们现在一个孩子，一个女儿。她对我孩子不好，
不好。
我孩子要东西，她从来不给买。有一次我女儿出去买，就是看中一件衣服嘛，然后她跟我婆婆一起去的。后来我婆婆就说太贵了，不买。然后我女儿当时就说了句：“好啊，那你不买，我妈妈给我买。”
她自从干了直播带货，就开始花钱大手大脚。
我自己挣的钱，我是自己有什么不能花？并且我是给女儿花的钱，我女儿在家都跟我说，她说我想要这个，但是奶奶不给我买，我想吃这东西，奶奶说太贵。
那是因为你太惯着她了。
那你省下钱干嘛呀？天天去充游戏吗？借钱都要去充游戏？打赏女主播吗？
什么打赏女主播的什么意思？
Xiao Fang said that it was one thing that her mother-in-law made things difficult for her every day, but who would have thought that the mother-in-law even disliked her own granddaughter, just because she had not given the family a son? Compared with this, what she could not tolerate even more was that her husband did not go to work, and now all the household expenses depended on her. Because the mother-in-law had never liked girls since childhood, Xiao Fang could only take care of the child while working. What was even more excessive was that the money she saved with hard work was turned around and used by her good-for-nothing husband to recharge games, and many times to reward pretty female streamers. The mother-in-law completely ignored this, and still picked on her in the family. Now Xiao Fang really regretted not listening to advice back then, insisting on marrying into such a faraway family. Now it was like this, being bullied again and again by her husband's family, with no one to support her, her guts were all turning green with regret. Just as Xiao Fang was full of resentment, the mother-in-law also came to the scene. As soon as the two met, they started tearing into each other.
你好意思来到这儿吗你？我在下面听的，我已经气得都不行了。他把我儿子给打了，哪有他媳妇？
我是故意的吗？
打他老公，
我是故意的。
把他老公打的那绷带都绷了一个月，知道吗？你好意思来到这儿吗你？那两口挣钱，那我儿子都不能管钱呐，那管钱的那是你说了算。那这是个男人吗？男人出去会有面子吗？
您问一下他的钱去哪儿了？
不管他钱去哪儿了，你得叫他有花钱的这个权利吧？啊，你把钱你都管起来，花个钱再给你要，合适吗？
您知道是因为什么事情吗？
我
把工资交给他之后，他打赏女主播这事儿您知道吗？啊，你给你孙女买个衣服，你都要去计较这么多，他打赏了好几万，你怎么不说呀？借钱去打赏女主播，
打赏多少钱？
多少钱？好几万。
不管咋说，你不能为难他呀，他是你的男人，知道吧？啊，
不是，
你都咋跟他说话了？个家，天天就为了钱吵架。
我现在不想让他当我的男人了，
不想当，那完了。
严女士，
你说不当就不当了。
After the mother-in-law came to the scene, she immediately accused her daughter-in-law. When the daughter-in-law mentioned the house, the mother-in-law unhappily said that before marriage she did indeed agree to buy it, but now the younger son and daughter-in-law already had a house to live in, why spend that wasted money to buy another house? Now that the daughter-in-law was already married into the family, what if she didn't buy it? Then she even shockingly said that the house had already been bought, but she had given it to her elder son. The house was bought by herself, she could give it to whoever she wanted. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Xiao Fang became even more emotional, saying that the mother-in-law was usually so unreasonable at home. No matter big or small matters, it all had to be decided by her. Before marriage, the mother-in-law personally went all the way to her natal family, expressing she would buy a new house for the couple, and also agreed to her request of only having one child. Now she turned around and went back on her word. Not only was the house she was promised not settled, but she was urged to have another child to give the family a grandson. Simply too much. Before the mother-in-law could respond, the husband became angry.
你为什么总是指责我妈呀？咱们现在有房子住，还惦记这个房子干嘛呀？你这么物质吗？
我没有去指责她，你看她什么事都向着她妈妈。
这房子本来就是我的，我当然说了算了。怎么了？轮着你说话了吗？他们都要买了房子了，那这房子那不就用不上了吗？那我给大儿子不行吗？
房子是您说要给我们的呀。
你们现在已经有房子了，那我给我的大儿子让他们住，那不行吗？就因为这个房子，他把我儿子给打了。
严女士，重点是你儿子把家里面的5万块钱用到了不该用的地方。你刚听到这个信息了没？
他跑业务了，不敢吗？
跑业务，
在他心里这知识文化产业了呀。
那别的我也不懂。
他都告诉你了呀。
他告诉我什么了？他不就是花了几万块钱吗？那男人花的钱又怎么了？
你们不要逼阿姨，儿子委屈的很，是不是啊？
你管他管得太严，
看到没有？
管得那么紧干啥？
看到没有？
他是个男人，你知道吧？
那他是个男人，他就可以放松，我就需要天天紧绷着。
你紧绷着怨谁呀？
我怨是怨我自己，怨我嫁到了你们家，行不行？
When the mother-in-law unreasonably accused the daughter-in-law, the husband Xiao Dong stood by silently, coldly watching. When he saw his wife complain about his mother, he could not stand it, loudly scolding his wife for being ignorant, and shamelessly saying that family scandals must not be spread. Making trouble at home was fine, but disrespecting his own mother was not allowed, otherwise he would let her know who was in charge of this family. Xiao Fang was completely broken down by her husband's unreasonable attitude, then said that everything the mother-in-law did excessively, she was not making it up, so why was her husband still scolding her instead? You as the man of the house, a big man earning not a cent, staying at home every day, playing games and rewarding female streamers, how do you have the face to scold me? Finally, the more Xiao Fang spoke, the angrier she became, again revealing on the spot one unbearable thing her husband and mother-in-law had done to her. Xiao Fang with grievance said that before her husband had run a shop, monthly income was okay, but later because of various reasons it closed, and after that he chose to lie flat at home doing nothing. From then on, the family depended on her working day and night live streaming to sell goods to support the family. But even though she worked so hard, she did not gain understanding from her mother-in-law and husband. At home everything still had to follow the mother-in-law's will. If there was anything not according to the mother-in-law's will, she would make trouble. The husband on the other hand, not only did not play a mediating role at home, but everywhere sided with his mother to make things difficult for her. Living like this was simply like years in prison. After hearing the daughter-in-law speak out her dissatisfaction, the mother-in-law was still arrogant. At this time her attitude made everyone at the scene dissatisfied. The host also could not bear it anymore, asking the mother-in-law if before marriage she had personally promised to give the younger daughter-in-law 2 houses. The arrogant mother-in-law's words instantly angered everyone.
我从未见过如此
严女士
厚颜无耻之徒。
严女士，
我都气笑了。
这房子本来就是我的，我当然说了算了。怎么了？轮着你说话了吗？
严女士，那您对之前5年前那个承诺你怎么看？
承诺，他们已经结过婚了，我想的已经无所谓了。
承诺是无所谓的，因为结过婚了，承诺就可以不算数。
对呀，那就是这。
您是这么觉得呀？
我就这样认为。
她是远嫁的女儿，当初咱的承诺这2套房子，其实是给他们娘家是一个定心丸啊。您不能说结了婚然后就不认账啊。
那我不管，那现在他们已经结过婚了，已经好几年了，那都怎么了？非要这一套房子吗？非认着要这个房子吗？咋了？我就不行给大儿子吗？
After hearing the host's question, the mother-in-law arrogantly responded that she did indeed say it at the time, otherwise would the girl's family have agreed? Now things were different. The daughter-in-law had been married for several years, and already had children, so what could they do if they were dissatisfied? Anyway, the rice was already cooked into a meal. The house in the hometown was enough to live in. The new house in the city was not needed, so she just gave it to the elder son who worked in the city. What could the daughter-in-law do now? The shameless behavior of the mother-in-law instantly angered the guests, who immediately started tearing into her on the spot.
您不能说结了婚然后就不认账啊。
那我不管，那现在他们已经结过婚了，已经好几年了，那都怎么了？
从头到尾就是我错了，我不应该在这个家待着。
不管咋说，你不能为难他呀，他是你的男人，知道吧？啊，
不是，
你都咋跟他说话了？个家天天就为了钱吵架，你好意思来到这吗你？
我无法想象再去怎么忍受，我敬佩你的韩女士，就这个怎么跟他就朝夕相处这么久啊？这过什么？你再嗨不过你脑子进水了，离婚吧。
哎，
我就是觉得严女士对于我啊，真的是我又一次受教。对严女士用刚才每一句让我们听起来都冠冕堂皇又言之凿凿的话，就把儿子这5万块钱不知所踪打赏女主播这个钱，这个事儿就过了啊！你5万块钱什么家庭啊？你们什么家庭条件？5万块钱啊！我真的我都气笑了。我想到了三国里边诸葛亮说的：“我从未见过如此厚颜无耻之徒。”
严女士
After hearing the mother-in-law's unreasonable response, the guests were instantly angered, loudly saying that they had never seen such a shameless person, clearly turning her face and denying the account, tricking the daughter-in-law into the family, and now still arrogantly going back on her word, really incomprehensible where she got the confidence. If everyone was like her, using old age to act arrogantly, making empty promises to get their sons married, that would be too easy. She instead took pride in it, even blaming the daughter-in-law for not being good enough. Any daughter-in-law who married into such a family was truly unlucky. At this moment Xiao Fang was completely broken down by her mother-in-law's actions, loudly saying that since she could never meet her expectations, from now on they mother and son could live together. Then she angrily left. The arrogant mother-in-law who was used to bullying her daughter-in-law at home, did not expect this time the daughter-in-law was serious, and was instantly panicked. What she did next was even more unbelievable.
哎，你看看，你看见没有？他就这脾气，一点不对劲儿，他就走了，气死我了！
严女士，崔老师刚才给您的那段话可真不是夸您呐，咱不说其他的啊，您最开始给的那个承诺，到最后没有兑现，大儿子那边是不是结婚真的需要房子，您没兑现，您觉得是不是有点稍微不太正确？
也不说不太正确吧，我总觉得我也是不容易。那个房子，我觉着我说了算，谁有急用我都先叫谁用。我到现在我也认为没哪里错。
我真的我都气笑了。我想到了三国里边诸葛亮说的：“我从未见过如此厚颜无耻之徒。”
严女士
The mother-in-law, who was used to no one in the family ever going against her, at this moment seeing the daughter-in-law seriously wanting a divorce, instantly became uneasy. So she immediately changed face, acting pitiful, saying that regarding the house, she did not mean to go back on her word. Then she again blamed the daughter-in-law for not being capable, only giving her a granddaughter, and she as the mother-in-law had once taken the initiative to be soft, talking with the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law also agreed to have a second child to give the family a son, but there was no progress. Every time she asked, the daughter-in-law made excuses, so she gave the new house to her elder son. Then there were constant quarrels at home. The mother-in-law then said discontentedly, which family does not have quarrels between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, but the daughter-in-law gave her a bad face in front of so many people. The mother-in-law's words instantly caused everyone to be dissatisfied with her, and the guests one after another criticized the mother-in-law for being wrong first. The mother-in-law saw that all the blame was directed at her, and also seeing the daughter-in-law shouting for divorce, she panicked, saying, "I was just confused for a moment. Now I promise to give you the house." The husband also hurriedly stopped her, begging, "Don't be impulsive, my mom has a quick temper, don't take it to heart." However, all of this was too late. Xiao Fang said that no matter if the house was now willing to be given to her, her heart was already completely cold. She denounced the mother-in-law for shifting responsibility, the husband for pretending to be pitiful, and their attitude of valuing sons over daughters. It was the mother-in-law going back on her word, and the husband blindly siding with her, that pushed her to this point. Finally she wiped away her tears, with an incomparably firm attitude. "No matter what, this marriage must end, no chance of turning back. I would rather have nothing, than continue being trapped in such a family."
You say, isn't this mother-in-law too much? Before the marriage, she was full of promises. After the marriage, she turned her face and denied the account, even letting her son spend the daughter-in-law's hard-earned money to reward female streamers. This is not just a family conflict. It is also the nightmare many women marrying far away fear the most. An irresponsible husband, a biased mother-in-law, a marriage bound by promises. In this relationship, Xiao Fang gave her youth, her child, and her hard work, but got in return lies and coldness again and again. The mother-in-law going back on her word, the husband blindly siding with her, made this marriage collapse. What do you think? Is Xiao Fang too materialistic, or are the mother-in-law and husband too selfish? If you were Xiao Fang, would you continue to endure, or decisively turn around and leave? Welcome to leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about this controversial story together. If you like this video, please give a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.